My name is Kayla, and I'm a UI UX designer volunteering for that ecosystem. And I'm here with Hans from the HyperPubby project. So today, Hans is going to take us through HyperPubby as a demo. He's going to share his screen, which he's already doing. And over to you, Hans. Let's see what HyperPubby is all about.
Yeah, glad to be here. So there will be two brief parts. First, I'll show the reader point of view. So when someone published a piece of text, how can you read it and what are the features? And then I'll dive into the writer point of view. So if you want to publish things, how does it work? So we explicitly decided to make it very easy to read works. So this means that we want to enable reading works through the browser. So for those who are not very familiar with peer-to-peer, it's not very easy to use the browser to connect with peer-to-peer networks. The primitives aren't there in most in the standard browsers. So yeah, I used a little trick to solve this for the HyperPubby project. And I'll just show you, let's say you wrote something and you share it with a friend, what the friend can do and what he sees. So suppose I received the unique identifier for work. So each work is identified by a unique hash, which is, for those who know hypercore, it's just the hash identifying a hypercore. And then you can choose to read the work. And then what happens in the background is it connects with the swarm to look for this particular hash. It downloads the data structure and then it renders, in this case, a little piece of poetry. And not much there. So basically, it's just seeing a normal piece of text, except that it was rendered in a peer-to-peer fashion. Same with prose. So at the moment, I'm supporting basic poetry and prose with simple formatting. But where it gets really fun and where you see the advantage of using peer-to-peer technology, even more than just being able to publish easily, is when you start using the concept of an embedding. And what an embedding is, we'll see later how to define it. But here, instead of writing out text, I've said for this piece of the poem, I want you to use a particular line of another poem. So it uses a kind of a deep link to another published work, which was this one. And now, of course, if the reader is curious, he can see, okay, where does it come from? And he can have a look, or she can have a look at the source. So you see the entire source, and you also see which exact part it was taken from. So, for example, this is this part. So there are definitely some UI improvements to be had here, but that's the basic idea. And the reason this doesn't work with normal internet is that you're not sure whatever you reference will stay online. And if it stays online, you're not sure it will contain the same content. With peer-to-peer, it's easy to keep things online because you can help do it if you do something. And because of how hypercore, the basic data structure works, your submit will never change. So just another illustration, because now we just directly use the content of a particular line of a poem, but it becomes really fun once you can start adapting it. So that's what currently call it a patched embedding, but I should find a better name for it. So here, you can start playing with this. So here we have a huge paragraph, and then the paragraph says it cannot fail, and it's rendered as it can fail. So just you can start playing with this. Here as well, yeah, just picking parts of lines, and then you can start going crazy with it. And the really fun part is that you can just see where everything comes from in a very intuitive fashion. Well, it's not yet intuitive because the UI needs to be improved, but the data structure is there, and you can do it, as you can see here. So that's from the reader point of view what is happening. But it's much more powerful to use the application. So now I'll switch to how you can actually create new works. So here I have the application open. So the functionality there is a superset of the functionality of the web app. So let's say we want to create something. Let's start with a simple poem. So let's suppose my name is Demo. And here you can just see the basic syntax of how to write a poem. Let's first have a look at what it looks like if we render it. Then you can see what the readers will see if you would choose to create it. But now it's not yet created. It's created a temporary version. Let's just give it a different name. And now we've created it. So now it exists locally on my computer, but it's not yet shared with other people. So I can have a look at my library. These are all the other works I've created in the past on this computer. And the last one is indeed the demo poem with this hash. Now I can choose to keep it online. So I just say host this poem. And now anyone who has access to this hash can read what I just wrote. So I could have a look on the browser. And you can see that it indeed connects. Well, it seems a bit cheating because it's on the same computer, but it's this is running on a server, this relay. But I could also pass it to you in the chat, and you could also have a look that this is now available. So once you start hosting a work, it becomes available. You can also choose to unhost it. That's irrelevant at the moment. And then something which is very much a work in progress is how to create embeddings. So there should be a nice visual tool to do this. But at the moment, at least I can explain what happens behind the scenes. So I'm creating something by demo. And now you can see how each part of a work is uniquely identified. So first of all, there is the hash. And then this is something specific to the underlying database structure. And then just you can suppose this is line 1, line 5, line 12, etc. So now when I try to preview this, it will look up this work and then download content 0. You saw that it took a little while, so it immediately could render these pieces of text, but then it had to look up where this work lived and download this particular part. So that's what an embedding is all about. So we can also quickly make it. So now it's also been created. So now I can share this this key with other people, and they can have a look. And they will also be able to see the source of my embeddings, just like I showed you from the reader point of view earlier. And basically, with a proper user interface, this would be loading an external work, like here, and then just saying, I want to use this line. And then you wouldn't have to worry about how to represent it or which part of the work it exists. But that's work in progress. The same for the patches. So patch is just an embedding where you modify a part of it. So at the moment that's really ugly. So I won't. I'll just show it to show what it does internally. But again, this will be abstracted from the end user in the beta version. So you just load the same as with the embedding, a particular paragraph or line of a poem, and then you make some changes. We can see that is indeed, now it's looking up the embedding. And then sometimes it takes a while because of let's call it a bug, but I know how to fix it. So now it loaded this. And okay, this is just a normal phrase, but it's uniquely identified by the source and then some operations on the source. So that's the main part of the hyperpub of Dcent Reads. I think I'll switch the name to Dcent Reads. What it's about. And I'll just quickly show a feature which goes hand in hand with it, because now my works are available. I can host all of them, so they're all available. And okay, while I'm online, people can have a look at them. And if I have good friends, they will also ensure that they rehost my works. So if either one of us is online, people will be able to visit the poem or the piece of prose. But if neither of us is online, then it's not available. So I hope it had enough time to sync. We'll have a look.
Yes, thank you so much, Hans, for taking us through hyperpub. So this means that anybody can just jump on hyperpub's website and start writing a poem or reading a poem. You don't have to go through the onboarding process of logging in, creating an account, and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, of course, it's the big advantage of peer-to-peer. Like you can write whatever you want. I won't know, and it's very easy to do. You just decide what to share with who. So what I showed is really how you would do it, except that you would have to go through the step of first downloading the application. But from then onwards, you will see the same screen as this is your home screen, and you can start immediately creating new works. You have a look at your library. So it's really super easy to get started.
That's good. Can you?
Yeah, I think the other things I showed in the demo. Unless you have another question or if something is not very clear here.
No, this is fine. Okay, we've gone through every aspect of hyperpub's website, and it's very clear. You know, hyperpub. One thing I like about it is the simplicity. You just have 5 pages to create a poem, to read a poem, to see the library of poems, to download the app, and to read the history of hyperpub. And I feel like it's very easy to understand. Thank you very much, Hans, for taking us through hyperpub. I can't wait to see the change of name from hyperpub to Dcent Reads.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot. And yeah, just maybe as a promise for the future. So this will also work with music. So you'll be able to embed a piece of music. So for example, second 20 to second 25 of a particular song. And then you can start playing with this as well, either with the lyrics or with the melody. Just another fun feature.
No, that's beautiful. That's very nice, and I can't wait to see that feature come to life. Thank you for your time and taking us through hyperpub.